Imagine the courage it takes. You're sitting there in a place where you're at some not a particularly commodious home, apartment, or village you live in. You gather up the flame and said, I got a good idea. Let's gather up everything we have, sell it, give it to some coyotes, and take us to a country that doesn't want us, drop us off in God knows where. We don't know anybody. We're going to leave everything that's familiar to us. Let's go. Isn't that going to be a great idea?
Everyone has what they consider to be the smartest and most logical solution to the current immigration crisis. Most of these answers begin with the phrase, send them back where they came from. And to be certain, there is a lot of sentiment for not bringing more people and workers into a country where we cannot feed or employ our own citizens. However, there is something called the red card solution that will certainly create more than a little buzz. Welcome into MidPoint, president of the Vernon Krieble Foundation, an organization founded in 1984, and daughter of the founder, Helen Krieble, and the author of the Human Events article that focused on this story, Ed Boehm. Thank you very much for joining us both.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Helen, I'm going to start with you. Would you please just give everybody a quick idea of what the organization, your foundation, does and why you are involved in this specific issue of the red card solution?
We have a public policy foundation, and I am involved in the issue because I have dealt with H-2B workers for probably 15 years, and the process is broken, miserable, and making businesses close.
All right, now when did you notice and when did you come to the realization that, to you at least, it was broken and needed some sort of major repair?
I think it's the process of going through this nightmare that lasts at least 3 months, endless fees, endless checkups on getting workers that you desperately need. And when I realized that's what was happening, that was it. I said, it's got to change. American citizens have to stand up and help to change it.
All right, Ed Boehm, you wrote the article for Human Events, the Conservative Voices outlet, talking about the guest worker program. When you started to look into this, did it start to make sense to you?
Yeah, I think the first thing that people have to understand is just the numbers involved here. The United States government right now issues about 150,000 visas annually for temporary farm workers, which is most of the workers that we'd be dealing with under Helen's proposal, and would be attempting to give them a different way of coming into the country legally. So 150,000 visas are given out annually for legal entrance, but there's an estimated 2 million seasonal workers on U.S. farms and ranches, mostly in the South and the Southwest. So yeah, you could just look at those numbers and see that doesn't match up. The rest of them are coming here illegally, and they're coming here to work jobs and to make money, to make a living. They're not the illegal aliens that we necessarily want to keep out because they're dangerous or because they're criminals or because they're going to be causing problems. They're coming here because they want to work. They want to be part of the American economy, and for the most part, they're doing jobs that Americans don't want to do and aren't going to fill. So there's a demand there.
Well, wait a minute. Now, let's get right down to that, because that is always one of the things when you say that they're doing jobs that Americans don't want or don't want to fill, yet you will get the one side who will say, well, wait a minute now. We don't have enough jobs here for our own people right now, so that can't be right.
Sure, and I think Helen can probably speak more to this point, but I think one of the things that I found interesting about the red card solution when I was researching it and writing about it is the fact that it matches supply to demand, that you would be able to, workers, where there are job openings, employers would be able to obtain workers, and if they can't find American workers that want to fill those jobs, they would be able to get legal foreign workers who are here temporarily to fill that job for a season. And that's obviously a significant difference than either having to hire someone illegally because you can't find someone to fill the job, or trying to get having to find somebody who is here permanently or trying to become a citizen, which is not something that a lot of these seasonal workers even want to pursue.
Helen, I'm going to send this to you now on that very same issue. There are so many people here in America who will say, send them home. We don't need them. Our unemployment rate's up right now. We can't put our own people to work. We can't use any more people coming into this country right now who want to take American jobs. That's what some will say.
What we need is a private sector guest worker program. Employers hire the people they need, and only the people they need. So what we need is to have a database, a private database, a private business like an employment agency, where you list the jobs you want to fill and what you're willing to pay, and people who want those jobs can apply for them. But it's advantage American, because nobody goes to a headhunter to find somebody to work for them and pay the fees. If you can find somebody in your own community who will do it, that costs you nothing. But we do need that process. We need it to make our borders secure by incentivizing people through a simple guest worker program to come through the gate in a legal form, to get the people who are already here to become legal through a guest worker program only. No green cards, no citizenship. Just regularizing the workforce for private businesses, no matter what kind of worker they need. It might be a PhD, it might be a restaurant worker, a hotel worker, a construction worker. The employer is the one who can determine that, and really only the employer. So again, let's do it by our principles. Let's do it by private sector means. And let's get the job done so people don't feel it's worthwhile to sneak across our borders if they simply want work.
Okay, now answer those critics, and you even said something in there. You talked about securing the borders, making the borders safe. Tell them right now, sitting here, because you say this is not citizenship or a path to citizenship, but tell the critics right now how this makes the borders more secure.
Well, right now, if people know that there's work in the United States, they're going to come here across that border any way they can, because there's no way for them to come legally. If you have a way for them to come legally to fill jobs that have gone begging, then they're disincentivized to come across the border illegally. Then the border agents can focus on the bad guys who are coming across our border, because they stand alone.
Now, I want you both to hear a soundbite that we have. This is Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City. Earlier this year in his State of the City address, he was specifically talking about undocumented workers, and he was making the point that even if they are undocumented, they are still New Yorkers as well. Take a listen.
To all of my fellow New Yorkers who are undocumented, I say, New York City is your home too, and we will not force any of our residents to live their lives in the shadows.
Eric, let me throw this to you right now. Is that what the Conservative Party needs to understand? I say that because your Human Events article, Powerful Conservative Voices, speaking to conservatives, many of them have a problem with something like this. They don't want to see anybody coming in at all.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that is one of the fundamental questions within the sort of the restructuring of the Republican Party that we see going on right now, is exactly what is going to be the party-wide position on immigration. And I think Helen's proposal has some really positive things for conservatives. I mean, it's ultimately a free market plan. It's ultimately a plan that matches supply to demand without government quotas or government bureaucrats deciding who gets to come in and who doesn't. I think the point that she just made about the border security, that's huge, because that's obviously the number one thing that Republicans say they want before we even discuss anything else on immigration. They want the border to be secure. Well, if you can create a better way for people to come into the country legally, people that are going to come either way, if you give them a way to come in legally so we know they're here, they go through a process when they come across the border, and we know they have to leave at a certain point in time, and we can track them. If you create that for the good workers, let's say the people that want to come here and fulfill jobs and be part of the economy and send money back home to their families, then, as Helen just said, the only people that are left coming across the border illegally are the people who are coming here to either to smuggle people or to run drugs or to do other things. And that means border security can focus on that group of people, because you've given the good workers, you've given them a way into the country without having to sneak in under cover of darkness and without having to be mixed in with the bad guys that we're trying to stop from coming across.
Helen, I only got about 45 seconds left. Would it be your hope that not only Republicans but Democrats, but mostly Republicans and conservatives, would listen to your idea and give it a chance?
I certainly would hope that. We need a solution. We need a solution now. Kicking this issue down the road again and again and again for the past 10 years has not solved the problem. But it has to be a private sector guest worker program that incentivizes people, whether they're already here illegally or are wanting to come, to get legal, to get the proper permit. The red card is a simple security card, just like your Visa card. It costs almost nothing, very quick to do. Run these people through a national security database. Let's get these 11 or 12 or 15 million people out of the shadows, working properly documented in our system.
Helen Krieble and Ed Boehm, a fascinating idea. We'll wait and see how many people think it's a good idea. We will follow up. We thank you both for your time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. It is the red card solution. Migrant workers passing a criminal background check have an employer waiting for them when they cross the border. Let's put this into the mix. Later on this hour, John Gizzi puts on the flak jacket, dives inside the Beltway. That and a whole lot more as MidPoint continues.